Hey guys, it's Vince. Today in this video I'm going to answer some questions that keep coming up, and I plan on doing a couple of follow-up videos to this because I know with me answering some questions in this video it's going to lead to more questions, and of course nothing really explains the answers better than a video where we can cover a lot more detail, and it's much faster than going back and forth messaging. I have been trying to call back everybody. Of course the holiday is coming, so time is of the essence. I'm building and trying to split everything in between. You guys have been great understanding that, and overall I just think that it works better covering as much information as possible in videos. Now before I start this video, I have to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bless all your families. I hope everybody is doing well right now, and I'm going to just jump right in and cover some details on one of the most predominantly asked questions that I get is what to look for and what I would recommend when purchasing a used machine. Now guys, this can be used towards a new machine or a used machine, but usually it's about used machines because you're going to look to save money, which we all look to do. Now that being said, we have to execute a lot of logic and common sense. When you're looking at used equipment, you always want to cover in detail with the original owner as much information as possible about the machine. This particular client, you can see I have a gecko here and a picture of a gecko down here. That's to keep this as discreet as possible. I don't want to give away who actually messaged me this, but once again, needless to say, it was an individual who found me on YouTube. He messaged me. He wanted me to give him my advice on his involvement in CNC. And that being said, his big question was, hey, what do you recommend me to buy as far as a first table, and is CNC for me? Well, of course, I explained to him, CNC is not for everybody, and CNC is definitely something that, anybody can learn if they're willing to dictate the time to do it. Most of you guys already know that. And again, it's also a question of, trial and error. If you're a person that gets frustrated with trial and error, this is definitely not for you. If you're a person that's looking for an immediate setup out of the box, ready to go, this is definitely not for you. If you're somebody who enjoys working and learning things as you go, and believe me, every day you will learn something new the more you use the machine, and you don't mind executing patience and taking your time with trial and error to really dial in all of the facets of your machine, then I can tell you this is going to be one of the most rewarding things you'll find. That being said, just getting back to the point, this individual messaged me again wanting my advice, and my advice was, before you go investing your money in the machine, think about what I said. Well, 2 days later or a couple days later, he decided to message me and sent me this email and said I had purchased this machine used. Now he purchased it off eBay, which again, at least eBay has buyer protection. He said he bought it used from an individual who explained that the reason he was selling the machine is because he was upgrading to a larger scale machine. He needed something bigger and faster. Well, I can understand that. Okay, that's logical. The thing I want you guys to understand, when 9 out of 10 users are selling a machine, you want to get a feel for how the machine was taken care of. Right now you can just see the wiring is all wound up. We see that he's got CNC router parts, motor cables. Those are quality. Table looks all aluminum. That's quality. What we can't see is what gets scary. We don't know how smooth the table is. We don't know how many hours are on the table as far as, was the original user competent enough to know when to service the unit, how's the lead screws, cable chain and everything else. We want to go through, make sure there's no rips in the cables. This is stuff that's difficult to see, especially if you're looking on an area where you don't have buyer protection like Craigslist. You definitely want to be there. You want to see the table. You want to feel everything. As much hands-on feel as possible. See the table, of course, move. That's a great option. Anybody purchasing a table on eBay used, my recommendation is request a video of the table in action. Listen to the table. You want to do everything but fly there and see the table. That's my optimal objective to teach you guys, is that detail is everything when you start machining. And until that table is sitting there in front of you and you can see how everything is as far as smoothness and, again, speed and does it fit your need, be cautious. It's your hard-earned money. Ask as many questions as you have to so you can be thorough in figuring out if this is a good, liable investment for you. Because honestly, I've had quite a few guys look to save money doing that, thinking they found a great a great machine and then finding out that they got it and there was problems. And of course, buyer beware. Once you pay somebody, if it's not on eBay or a site that you're protected, you're kind of stuck with it. So again, execute caution, buyer beware, use logic, use common sense. Like when you buy a car, you want to know the actual service history of the vehicle. You want to know miles, all that neat stuff. There's nothing wrong with you asking the end user. And these are questions they should know. If you say, hey, you know what? How many hours use do you have on the table? He can give you an estimate. Do I work casually with my machine or do I use it every day? Am I using it under a commercial environment where I'm doing parts virtually every other day? Or am I doing something, once a week in my garage? These are things you should ask. You should ask, have you ever had to tighten any of the mechanics on the machine? Have you gone over the mechanics? How's the smoothness? How's the bearings? Go over those questions. Is there any rips or tears in any of the wiring? How are the casings on the wiring? Is everything shielded? Once again, these are the details that will save you time and save you money, and hopefully really show the end user who's selling it, as an original owner, a lot of detail as far as what you're looking for. I've had guys actually use some of the techniques that I'm telling you now in asking these kind of questions, actually scare the seller from selling on the table because they thought it would be more of a hassle. And guys, let me tell you, if they feel that way, you don't want to buy the table. So think about it from that perspective. There's a lot of things that go for sale. Some guys buy these machines and realize it's not for them, and then they want to sell them. Other guys are honest and just say, hey, like him, he's saying, I'm just moving up. That could be. It could very well be. I always say, ask the questions, get the answers you're looking for, and then make your decision. Overall, though, one of the interesting points that I want to make about this is that when I was asked my opinion on the table, of course, I asked the person who was really interested in purchasing it, and actually already purchased it. He said to me, I'm a little concerned. I want to talk about retrofitting the system with Gecko Electronics. And I said, really? I said, well, what did it come with? And he goes, it came with the Chinese controller. And I said, okay. We started discussing things, and I tell everybody the same thing. 98% of the people that buy the Chinese controllers at one point or another typically have issues, and then they come to me. I usually am like the last resort because they get burned, and then they eventually figure out, you know what, I should have just did this the first time and not worry so much about the money, but the frustration. Frustration and time always supersedes money when you're trying to do production. At one point or another, you will figure that out. Needless to say, I didn't tell this individual to purchase one of my controllers. And actually what I said was, being he was interested in seeing if CNC was for him, and I'd say this to anybody, and anybody who's spoken to me pretty much will tell you the same thing, I don't believe in you guys spending more than you have to. If you don't know if CNC is for you, the last thing you want to do is spend more money than you have to determine that. So if he's got Chinese electronics and the original user said it worked great and he purchased it off eBay, he's got buyer protection, logically it tells me, why spend more money? I'm going to test the table, see if everything is good. If I get the rapids that I need, if I got accuracy that I need, if everything is sitting there and it's dialed in, everything there should be right in front of me. I shouldn't have to spend any more money unless I choose to, right? So to me, as a smart business guy that I try to be, not always, I mean, we all make mistakes, but learning from past experience, it's better to stay with what you have and see if it works for your application and then move up if you feel it doesn't. And when I explained this to Tony, he basically told me that he was just shocked. He couldn't believe that. He was expecting me to, try to be pushy and, not necessarily be pushy, but try to make a sale. And that wasn't what I'm there to do. I hope you guys understand that. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to educate you guys. I don't do these videos just to make sales. eBay, my sales are pretty decent even before I started doing YouTube. As I started doing YouTube to educate, of course, it amplified everything because I think people got a better feel of who they're working with. That being said, I don't pull punches. I don't see you guys making a relationship with you in the sense that I'm trying to be pushy as a salesman. The best salespeople educate. They don't need to sell by being pushy. They make you understand the product that they have, and if it fits your requirement, then you'll purchase it. And that's what I try to do. I want to build a relationship because I know if I wanted to be a pushy salesman, I might get one or two extra sales, but in the end, what am I gaining? What am I really gaining? I'm not building a relationship. I'm just being pushy. If I'm honest with you guys and you learn that I respect you as you should respect me, and we respect each other as a team, which essentially is what we are, we can grow together. As your business grows, you'll remember me, and vice versa. And that to me is more important than just being pushy and trying to make a sale on everybody I speak to. That's not the goal. You know, the goal is to make you understand what you're buying, what you need, and then as you grow, we grow. That to me is the goal. If something fails, if you buy a controller from me and you need another motor, my objective is to keep you running, because I know when you're running, hopefully you're making money, and that makes us all money in the end. So think about it in those terms. I really wish more businesses would think like that. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. I can't tell you, that's always been the outlook in life with me, as far as, that old mechanic syndrome. And I'm not insulting anybody who is a mechanic, but typically the old school mechanic would always try to, get as much work done. If you go to a dealership and you go to have work done, typically they'll tell you 10 other things other than what you went in there for to try to get the sale. If they just used honesty 9 out of 10 times, you would find that more people would be more loyal, because they know that you're being honest. And I can't emphasize that enough. And you guys, I hope, execute that with your business model, because believe me, that I totally believe what goes around comes around with energy. And I'll tell you right now, you do that and it will work wonders for you. There's no better business model than being true to yourself as far as who you work with, because they will make you successful. Think about that. That being said, the next question that I get asked constantly is about software. I get asked about software probably 5 to 6 times a week, at least, in a full, huge message that, I'm confused. What do I need? What don't I need? Guys, let me explain something to you. The 2 pieces of software you're going to require, I don't care what size machine you have, I don't care what kind of machine you have, if you want it to be motion controlled through a computer, you will require design software, which is known as CAD/CAM software. The next piece of software, which again, both of these are critical pieces of software. They're equally critical. The next piece of software you will require is Mach 3 motion control software, or a motion control software substitute. I recommend Mach 3 or UC-CNC. And then I get the next question, which one do I recommend more? As far as motion control software goes, Mach 3 has way more bells and whistles. It's an older screen set software, but as far as machining capability and setup capability, it far exceeds that of what 98% of all users will use. Do I recommend Mach 4? Mach 4 requires a USB plug to be purchased additionally to be used with it. When you add up the value of Mach 4 versus Mach 3, I do not see it. That's my honest opinion. Does that mean it's a wrong opinion? It means it's my opinion. You do your own homework. Overall, I can tell you right now, if you want the latest and greatest and ease of control, my recommendation, dollar for dollar, for bang for buck, would be a UC100 and Mach 3 control software, or UC-CNC. If you really want to cut it in, UC-CNC is excellent software. Its screen sets are more modernized. However, it does not have all the bells and whistles that Mach 3 has, due to the fact that Mach 3 has been out so long. So again, you weigh the weights and balances of what really makes sense for your applications. There is no incorrect answer. There is just requirement. Always remember that with your software. Software is a requirement. There is no way around it, okay? And you should truly love the software you're working with. And why I say that is when you enjoy working with it, you want to learn more of it and you want to master it. That's what you should really strive for. Look to master it, because the more you work with it, whether it be an hour, 2 hours a day, a half hour here, a half hour there. I've known guys to work on it at their other job. I think it's hysterical. They'll be working on it while they're in their lunch break or whatnot. Most of them, everybody has other things going on in their life. I say become as close to a master as you can, and over time, what you're going to acquire from that is going to be far greater than even you really think about, because the time that you add in spending learning all the caveats that each software has, it makes you grow so much faster if you really want to get involved with CNC and really open up those new doors to what you want to design. So just keep that in mind. One of the biggest pieces of software I get asked about is Fusion 360. Now guys, what do I think about Fusion 360? Well, Fusion 360 is an Autodesk and AutoCAD and all those other ones. they're amazing software. Okay, truthfully, probably some of the most advanced. I mean, they've got the Flash Media Player excerpts to where they're showing you everything in detail. I mean, it's just amazing. You can animate all of your projects. It's total engineering software. And let me explain what I mean by total engineering software. Okay, you've got the hobby-based software, which is like a company like Vetric. I can go to Vetric right here. We'll bring it up just to give everybody the same idea of what we're looking at. Vetric is good software. It's excellent as far as for hobby use or for those who are doing business work but really are not so heavy into different substrates. Why I say that, yes, you can use Vetric with aluminum. You can use it with different substrates. But why I say that is it's not really 100% open to all of the different substrates that are available. If you have a plasma machine, this software is probably not going to be your best opportunity to really get everything out of it. That being said, it doesn't mean you cannot use it. Once again, these are my opinions. Take it for what it's worth. If you want to be on a forum and get into the Ford and Chevy argument, you can do that. I'm just giving you my opinion. The thing I don't like about Vetric, and I'll say it this way, the thing I don't like is that everything with Vetric is a la carte. A lot of the softwares are like that. You have to purchase, one part of it, then you can go to the other part, cut 2D, and then cut 3D if you want to do 3D, and then so on and so forth. Then they have desktop, then they have pro. What's with all that? Make it simple. I like simplicity. To me, I'd rather have as much integration into a piece of software as possible. And then they have Vetric Aspire, which is their flagship, top of the line program, and it's $2,000. Most novices are not going to want to drop $2,000 on software, and you know what? I sure as hell don't blame them. Not for software that to me is really driven more around woodworking than driven around just multiple substrates. That's again my personal opinion. You do your homework, and once again you'll find out as you use it more and more, and you can test all this. You can download this software and check it out and see if it fits your criteria. But overall, it's really designed around woodworking. So that's what I mean by that hobby / project type use. Vetric is really, that's what its really overall design was. When you start dealing with Fusion and you start dealing with SolidWorks and you start dealing with Bobcat, you're dealing with true engineering software. And what does that mean? True engineering software means limitations are what you're able to do, how well you know the software. If I want to design a three-dimensional part, I can design three-dimensional today. If I decide tomorrow I want to do two-dimensional, I can do two-dimensional. If I want to animate the object that I've just designed, I can do that. Now, guys, let me tell you what. Most of you guys are going, that's what I want. Right now, that's what you're saying. That's what I want. Then be realistic in the price. Right now, Fusion 360 is doing a subscription deal at $25 a month or an annual subscription of $40 a month, month to month, with no subscription. Way being in debt. I live with an accountant. She's a corporate accountant for McDonald's. I've said this in numerous videos. Joanna's an amazing woman. And I have learned so much from watching her work with these multi-millionaire clients of hers, because their mentality of thinking about business is totally different than most people. Okay, from what you see and what we watch, and you've watched, I'm sure, shows like Shark Tank and everything, when you deal with these people every day and you realize that, I'm listening to her saying that they're spending, $15,000 on upgrades this week in just maintenance costs and things like that. I mean, you listen to all these things and you think about how these debts all add up. You start looking at yourself and putting things into perspective. And that's why I kind of look at things now from the idea that I try never to take on a debt that I cannot pay off within 6 months to a year at all. There are certain debts, unless you have a lot of money and you want to pay your house off and stuff like that. I've had friends save for houses. If that's what you want to do, God bless you. Most people will have a mortgage. Most people will have a car payment at one time or another. Overall, taking on more debt, especially with software month to month, that's something you guys have to weigh. How bad do you need it? Is it something that you need? Well, we know you need it. Is it something that you can't get away from, borrowing the money and saying, hey, within this amount of time I'll pay you back without paying interest, or taking a working capital loan if you're starting a business as a startup? That's something to think about as well. Your credit report then comes into play and all that neat stuff. Overall, I'm just telling you, a lot of the newer companies, Fusion is one of them, SolidWorks is one of them, they're doing these cloud subscriptions to prevent hackers and prevent all the security problems that typical software used to have, and that's where everything is kind of going now. It's going into cloud. Weigh your advantages. Weigh your advantages as far as which way you want to go. Do you want to pay a month-to-month fee, or do you want to do a perpetual license? And a perpetual license simply means that you pay the one-time fee like you do with ArtSoft to get Mach 3, and you basically are licensed to software and able to use it. That's what you need to think about. Fusion right now and a couple of the brands are doing student and educators get Fusion 360 for free. Now you guys can read the small print. You can believe what you want to believe. I'm cautious with that because if you do decide to start a business with the software and start profiting with the software, most CAM softwares at one point or another will limit your use because they realize you're making money off of them free. It's not going to happen. So again, execute logic. Do your research. Fusion does have some really, really cool programs right now. They are releasing it for free for hobbyists. They do have startup releases where if you're making under $100,000 a year, you can use it. They don't differentiate. They say it's supposed to be forever. I don't know if it's totally forever. I haven't checked it, but look at all the fine print. Even give them a call. Don't be afraid to call them. Touch and feel everything you can. The closer you can become with who you're working with, then you'll be that much more knowledgeable about what you can expect. You know, they can end these special offers at any time and then you get SOL. So really think before you know that old saying, think before you leap. That's what you really want to be careful with, especially if you plan on doing it for business, where then you've inquired another fee every month if you didn't encounter it from the beginning, and it could actually sink the ship. So just think about it from that perspective. But as far as what do I think of Fusion, because I do get asked that a lot, it's amazing software, and it is true engineering software. I love true engineering software because I never like to be limited. If I wake up and I came up with, and I had a dream, and some nights I do, and you have a dream and you'll be like, man, I could do that. I want to try that and see what happens. You want to be able to do that, or at least I do. So that's something that I always look at, and I always go with that and, make an assessment from there. Okay, so as far as all the software goes, I will say I can pull up SolidWorks and all that. SolidWorks is amazing software too. When you start looking at the price of SolidWorks, and I get asked about this a lot. Okay. Oops, sorry. SolidWorks price. You can see one license is $4,000, and then annual subscription service, which covers technical support and upgrades for 1 year, is $12.95. Again, subscription $12.95, one license $4,000. Now, guys, you can do the math there. That's an immense amount of money. Do you guys really require that? Most guys are not going to require SolidWorks. Is it amazing software? It's amazing software. Do you need to spend that to make the parts that you want to make? Think about that. I'll say it again. Do you need to spend that to make the parts that you want to make? Think about what you want to design. Think about where, if you're starting a business, where you want to go. Don't just spend that kind of money to say, hey, I've got SolidWorks. I have some guys that do that. Just say, what the hell, I'm going to buy it because it's SolidWorks. Okay. I have other guys that, here, Studica is selling it for $86 student edition. Thing is, student edition, you're not supposed to profit with. Eventually, you may have issues with that. So be smart. Think about what you're making and think about dollar for dollar what it makes sense to do as a business model to me. And I said that even when you're purchasing a used machine, don't spend more than you have to, because the gimmick in CNC, and I say this all the time, and think about it, if you cut a part and I cut a part and you cut a part cheaper than me, then I'm the dummy if the part is the same. If we cut them and they're both accurate and everything looks good and you did it cheaper than me, God bless you. Okay, because it's the same part. So think about that. Always use your mind as far as leveraging. You want to always create leverage. And the biggest thing with leverage is never spending more than you have to. Get as much as you can out of that piece of software. So dictate to yourself, is a $4,000 investment for a perpetual license good? Or can I do $12.95 for an annual subscription service? I'm not big on fees. Once again, annual subscription, that's up to you. If you want to buy SolidWorks, 98% of most end users that I sell to do not use SolidWorks unless they're a student. If they're a student, they may use it because, again, they're getting it at a much, much discounted cost. What you see here is just ridiculous compared to what commercial licenses sell for. That being said, everybody or most of my clientele knows I offer Bobcat. Bobcat's local to me. It's about 30 miles away from me. I live right now in Port Richey, which is about 30 miles or so from Tampa. And once again, Bobcat is true engineering software. I do offer V21 with all add-ons so that you're not paying for, nesting. You're not paying for CAD CAM. It does support mill, lathe, water jet, plasma. It's got everything, and it does have Bob art so you can take your pictures and convert them into vectors and machine them. That being said, I have some guys that are requesting even later releases of Bobcat, and that's fine. So I decided to talk to my buddy over at Ford, and he's an engineer over there, and he got back with me and explained to me that basically we could work out a deal with V24, which is 3 models later than V21. And what does that mean? Well, that means you're going to get some other new advantages. Now, is everybody going to need that? No, not everybody is going to need that. And I tell everybody the same thing. Buy what you need to do the part, like I said before. That being said, the pricing on V24 that I plan on releasing it for with Mach 3 and all add-ons, that means nesting, that means Bob art, that means CAD, mill, lathe, it will support plasma and it will support water jet, will be $900 with Mach 3. Now guys, you do the math on that. That also includes, and I want to reiterate this, it includes the training videos. The training videos from Bobcat alone are a couple $100. I am trying to make the most inclusive package that I can come up with, including Mach 3, because you need both pieces of software. So logically, why the hell would I sell it separately when I could put a bundle together and make it really, plain and simple? Buy this, learn to use it. The software is going to integrate over 10 hours of training with you. If you want to deal with some of the latest cutting-edge software available, V24 is pretty amazing. Considering Bobcat's on V29 now, V24, even being 5 releases under that, is still an amazing piece of software. Most of my guys don't need past V21. The ones that have bought V21, you can upgrade whenever you want. If you buy the V21 package I offer, you get a $500 off coupon to upgrade to the latest version of Bobcat. Once again, the reason I love them, they are US based. They do offer support. It's not a free support. Something to think about as well. When you start dealing with true engineering software guys, these guys live and breathe this software. To get support, you will pay for it. Okay, but that being said, if you need to call them, they're in this country. They will answer the phone. They will direct you. That being said, weigh the advantages. If you're getting over 10 hours of video instruction, most guys can figure out the software just watching the videos. The videos are very intuitive. They cover a lot of detail. And once again, using true engineering software, it's basically, what do you want to make? That's the attitude, and that's my attitude. What do you want to make? If you wake up and you figure out, I want to change my business model or I want to try a new product, you should be able to do that, I feel, at will. Some guys say no. Some guys say, I want to just deal with wood. I've dealt with clients many years, and some guys say, all I'm ever going to do is wood. And then all of a sudden, they say, well, you know what? I got an opportunity to do something out of aluminum, and I've never done that before. And they start playing with aluminum. They got wood down pretty good. Start playing with aluminum, and all of a sudden, they see the profit margins going up, and they're like, you know what? There's no comparison, or they start dealing with composites. We haven't even gotten into that. When you start thinking about composites, the market value is astronomical. Do the research, guys. You already know, a lot of my videos show it. The markup is insane. So again, do the weighing advantages. If you guys are interested in V24, I'm trying to get the store updated on eBay because right now I'm so busy. I mean, I've been over inundated with builds. Everybody's ordering for Christmas, and I'm just trying to get this video in to give you guys a little bit of a better feel of what's going on, and like I said, to do a touch and feel with some of these questions. And hopefully it's been really good with this video to give you guys a better feel. But overall, like I said, V21 package I can do right now with Mach 3 for $450. That's V21 all add-ons, $500 off coupon to upgrade, and Mach 3 I'll do it for $450. Okay, if you guys want V24 with Mach 3 full bundle package, you're looking at everything, all add-ons. Once again, it's $900. Okay, that's the best I can do. If you guys have any better ideas or other things that you want to see with software, let me know. Vetric hasn't been forthcoming as far as working with me. A lot of the companies don't want to work with smaller companies. They're looking for bulk sales. What they don't realize is everybody starts somewhere, and realistically, if they were to work with us, we would all grow together. But see, some of them don't have that mentality. And again, their overhead is so great, they can't have that mentality. That's why I say I'd rather stay small and stay true to my roots rather than grow so fast that I sink the boat because I get greedy. It's stupid. I'd rather keep it on a plain Jane simple detail of saying, hey guys, this is the 2 best pieces of software, dollar for dollar, in this category you will find. Now, when I say that, are there later and greater versions of SolidWorks? Is there later and greater versions of Vetric? You can buy any piece of software you want to get the job done. Dollar for dollar versus capability with integrated training with a US-based company, you will not find better pieces of software. How do I know that? NASA uses it. Ford uses it. You can go online and see all the Fortune 500 companies who actually use it. Do a search on the Bobcat, and I rest my case. So once you guys do the homework yourself, this is nothing I'm telling you new. This is stuff I just want to clarify because, again, dollar for dollar versus capability. And that's what I'm always looking at is capability. Are you limited? Are you going to buy something and then 2 weeks later find out you can't do this? Or are you dropping an immense amount of money? And yes, you've got all the capability in the world, but look at how much you're spending out of pocket right away. Do the math. Something to think about. The next question I'm getting asked, and I had this happen from a company called Shopmaster. The individual, I wasn't able to get his name, but the individual bought on my eBay store, he bought some of my pro-grade Homer limit switch assemblies. And he explained to me, he said, I just ordered 3 units to test on my machines. Just a suggestion, use self-locking nuts on the assembly as those erector set types will eventually work loose and people will tend to over-tighten them when it happens. Also, source the screws so the length is just enough to be flush with the nut. It makes the appearance a lot more professional. Well, I took his advice. And I want you guys to know something because I say this a lot. If you make a recommendation to me and it's something that you think that you would like done. Now, in his case, I can honestly say that using lock nuts is not a big deal. All I had to do was change 3 nuts. I didn't charge him to do that. I did that to accommodate his preference because I'll do that. He's a professional. He's requesting this. I see his point. There is logic to it. You can also state, and I've done this before, all of my nuts that I do with these type of assemblies all have Loctite. Okay, I utilize Loctite because I do realize there's vibration in place. Whichever assembly you want to go with. Lock nuts, of course, are more of a tricky assembly to do, especially with this because, again, like he said, you could over-tighten them. You could over-tighten any nut for that instance, but they're more prone to that because they're stiffer, being they have the nylon insert to prevent vibration. But I wanted just to show you guys that I didn't charge him extra for that. If you have an actual point, I will definitely work with you. This is the actual message. I see the difference in what I design is I can instantly change things immediately when asked to by my clients. Your points are well taken, and rest assured I'm all about updating the products to keep my pro shops happy. Yours have been done as you described in your previous message, which the picture reflects. The screws are the correct length as well, even though the picture makes them difficult to see. Thank you again, and you and your family have a very Merry Christmas, Vince. So just so you guys know, I don't cut corners, okay? I'm not gonna sit there and BS you and say, oh, well, you want that, this, that, and I try to work with everybody. Everybody has their preference. And if you have a preference and it's something that I can do easily enough, I won't charge you for it. If it's something that you're requesting, and I've had that on the opposite end where guys will ask me, hey, I want something done, that's really extravagant, I've got to charge you for it because I can't help it. I mean, if I have to invest my time and it's an extreme amount of time or something that takes hours, I do have to charge for that. So just be realistic. So hopefully this video has covered some of the questions that you guys have had. One of the biggest things I want to finish with, and just so everybody knows, is look at your budget, guys. Be realistic. And I say that a lot, but really be realistic. If you're looking at starting a business or you're looking at this as a hobby or vice versa, starting a hobby with this to create a business, look at what it takes to do it right. It's not a cheap endeavor. It's something that if you plan on doing it right, you're going to pay thousands for. It just is. You are doing digital manufacturing. This is not something that you should be looking at and saying, I want to cut corners as much as possible just to get movement. That's not what you're here to do. You're looking for accuracy. You're looking for precision. Do it right the first time. Save yourself the headache and do the research. And I promise you, you'll be happy. Not only happy with the investment or the products you end up making, but also happy knowing that you got peace of mind at night, not fighting things. You know, I've had guys buy high-end chassis, and they'll go to CNC router parts, buy a chassis, and all of a sudden they have a problem. But you know what? They have someone to go to because the guy's in the U.S. The chassis, $5,000-$6,000. Those chassis are really nice chassis. They're not cheap. They're not gonna. They perform excellent, but they are not cheap. Tom's chassis, the video I did on the 16-foot table, he uses their Z-axis. Okay, I can tell you right now, and he'll tell you, the parts are not cheap. Tormach, another great manufacturer, all employee-owned company, amazing company. They're not cheap. The parts are not cheap. They do good work. You're going to pay for it. You're dealing with digital manufacturing. That's what you're dealing with. So be realistic in what you're dealing with. The companies that are selling quality, they're selling it, and they're selling it with a price because they have a company, and you're gonna pay for that. Like I said, I'm a subcontracted employee. You guys hire me, I build you your controller, and I'm saving you a fortune because I'm not carrying billions of dollars in inventory. I'm not sitting here and I'm not paying a ridiculous rent. I'm not, hiring 6 different employees that I have to look over their shoulder. Are they stealing from me? Are they dealing with, are they doing it the way I would do it, or all of those little caveats? Because let me tell you something, guys. Every system that leaves my hands, every pack job that leaves my hands, anything that you buy comes from me directly. There is nothing that is built that leaves my shop that I didn't do. It's all done from me. Once again, I can't grow too big. I can't grow as big as the next guy, but I can guarantee the quality you get. That's the difference. And that's what now we seem to be missing in the U.S. Everybody wants to grow, but they forget quality should never be superseded by the fact that all you're looking at is making more money, because eventually it will snowball on you in the fact that people will give you a bad name because now they know, what, he keeps dropping the ball every time I do something. I can't work like that. And then they lose you and you lose money. So use your head. Look at your budgets. Look at everything. I do it all the time as my business. And again, business is business. It's all the same. Whether you're doing this, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, it's all the same. Look at it from that perspective. Always keep an open mind in the sense of learning. You'll learn a lot of things. YouTube's full of a lot of crap videos, and it's also full of a lot of educational videos if you know how to use the internet and take the time to acquire the knowledge. And that's what I recommend you guys do. Really just do as much research as possible. Get bored with it that you know so much. When you get to that point, you'll relax knowing, what, I've done all my homework. I've done all the due diligence that I need to do, and I can make my assessment there. But overall, once you do that, your budget then will come and just enlighten you by saying, what, I want this, but I just can't do it right now. Not doing it right. Because I can't tell you how many guys come to me and say, what, I should have took your advice. I should have found your videos then. I wish I would have done that. And I feel for them, because I know what it's like to get burned. And then you have all this, you're so passionate about a product that you've come up with, and all you need to do is get the equipment, and you go and spend the money, and then you get burned because you don't get support, or your chassis doesn't work right, or the electronics doesn't work right. You don't want that. We want to bring manufacturing back home. We start at the ground level. And if you think about it like that, think about it from what you're doing. That's what we're doing, guys. We're really trying to bring it back home. And we can do it ourselves. We just have to do it from a smart perspective. Start small, crawl, and then you start walking, and then you start running. Do it that way. Save each day if you have to. But by the end, it'll make sense when you go to purchase everything. You've got everything, you got what you need, and you move on from there. So hopefully everybody's gotten something out of this video. I try to make them, again, not as boring. And one thing, like I said prior in the beginning of the video, I do wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your families. I wish you guys all the best. If you do need anything, like I said, I'm going to try to continue this video series. Just message me. Any questions on software, message me. Keep sending me questions, guys. I'll do my best to answer as fast as I can. Right now it's busy. You guys have been great, and I do appreciate you all. Thank you. Take care.